Hi friends, my name is Amelia. I have an extremely rare genetic disorder. This condition is so rare that there are only 400 known cases of it in the whole world. And I'm one of them. I'm sure you will be shocked when you find out what it is. You might not even believe it. By the way, you can subscribe to this channel now if you would like to know when new videos get uploaded. And if you like my story, please don't forget to like this video. First, I want to tell you about something that happened to me when I was 6, because that was the first time my parents realized there was something going on with me. There was a forest near where we lived. Sometimes we would go camping there. On one of those trips, as my mom was preparing dinner, my dad and I went to gather wood that we could use to start a fire. Suddenly, we heard my mom scream. Naturally, my dad ran back to her right away. It turned out that a giant snake had climbed onto the table and was sitting there right next to the food. My dad told my mom, "Honey, don't panic. I'll get rid of it right now." But all he could do was to try to shoo the snake away by making strange noises. Meanwhile, I had noticed that the snake was next to the chocolate cake. So without even thinking about it, I walked up to the snake and grabbed it by the back of the head. Then I tossed it away while my parents stared at me in disbelief. The snake was probably as shocked as they were. It quickly disappeared into the forest. When my mom screamed, "What did you do?" I just said, "It was going to eat our cake." Of course, what I did was incredibly dangerous. If the snake had bitten me, I could have gotten sick or even died. So how could I have done something so brave even though I was only 6 years old? I only did it because I'm not able to feel fear. I'm not scared of anything. It might sound nice when I put it that way, but this is a genetic disorder, and it's definitely not something to envy. People have 6 emotions. 1, joy. 2, sadness. 3, disgust. 4, surprise. 5, anger. And 6, fear. All these emotions are created by the brain. The brain decides which emotion we should experience depending on the situation we're in. But what happens if your brain is not familiar with one of these 6 emotions? That's right. You can't experience it. This is the problem with people like me. Our brains simply don't know what fear is. That means I'm the most fearless person you'll ever meet, but it's not something I can be proud of, because being fearless is much more dangerous than you might imagine. It leads to unpleasant things happening to me. On a few occasions, I have even had close encounters with death. There's a park not far away from my school. Sometimes my friends go there after school to sit around and chat. One time, a man snatched a purse from a woman who was sitting on the bench next to us and started running away. Just as he ran by us, I stuck my foot out. The man tripped and fell on his face, and the purse went flying from his hand. Of course, she was very happy about what I had done. She thanked me again and again. But at the same time, what I did was way too dangerous for someone my age. The man could have had a knife or even a gun, and he could have hurt me in so many ways for stopping him. That day was just one of the examples of the type of dangerous situations my fearlessness disorder could put me in. So, was I able to change my behavior as a result of this? Of course not. Because I don't know what fear is, bad experiences like these unfortunately don't have any effect on me. No matter what I go through, I keep acting without any fear. Some of you might say, "Okay, you might have no sense of fear, then you should use your mind. In such situations, protect yourself even if you don't feel fear." Unfortunately, this is not possible. I've heard that normally when people are scared, their hearts pound faster, their breath gets shorter, and their palms get sweaty. I don't understand that I should be afraid because none of these things are happening to my body. Otherwise, I'm not stupid. My IQ level is pretty normal. There's no problem with my memory either. I don't forget the bad things that happen to me. But despite all this, when I see a giant spider, I grab it with my bare hands without even thinking about it. It doesn't occur to me to protect myself because my brain does not signal for me to be afraid. That's why I can casually do all these things that can seem foolish to you. Of course, there are courageous people out there. But as you figured out, this disorder is not the same thing as being brave. It's so much more than that. For example, when crossing the street, you should be checking to see if there are any cars coming. People who have my disorder even have trouble with something so basic. Unfortunately, most of the time I step out into the street without looking. I'll tell you something even weirder. Do you go near wild animals knowing they could rip you to pieces? Unfortunately, people like me might. During my first year of junior high, we went on a class trip to the zoo. After a while, we came to the tiger enclosure. We saw that there were 2 adult tigers and a cub along with them. The little tiger was, of course, super cute. Suddenly, I had an irresistible urge to pet it. There was a wall and a moat separating us from the tigers. I thought that I could jump down, swim across the moat, and then pet that little tiger as much as I wanted. So I decided to go for it and started climbing over the wall. Thankfully, the teacher saw what I was doing and was able to grab me before I jumped down. "Amelia, what are you doing? Are you insane?" she screamed. Because I didn't think I'd done anything wrong, I was trying to explain myself by saying I was just going to pet the cub and leave. After this incident, my parents took me to a therapist. They knew I was a brave kid, but this was a little bit too much. The therapist asked me a lot of questions about similar incidents that had happened to me in the past. Afterwards, he told my parents, "It seems like Amelia's problem is not psychological," and referred them to a neurologist. I learned that it was neurologists who specialize in issues related to the brain. In the neurology department, they ran many tests on me. For example, in one test, the doctor showed me photos of people's faces and asked me how that person was feeling. For the first photo, I said, "He's laughing, so he's happy." For the next one, "She's crying, so she's sad." In the third photo, there was a woman who was screaming. I said, "She's screaming, so..." And I was quiet. I realize this sounds unbelievable, but when I see the face of someone who's afraid, I can't understand that they are afraid. My brain is not only unable to create the feeling of fear, but it also doesn't register that other people are afraid, because it doesn't have any idea what this emotion called fear is. Since my brain doesn't know it, I don't know it either. After these tests, neurologists gave me a definitive diagnosis.